So here I am starting over at 43. This was not the plan. This was not part of the plan. For this video, I really wanted to share a little bit about, I'll give a brief explanation in regards to, how I got to where I am right now. But I really wanted to talk about, let me move this bottle because I feel like it's making too much noise. I really wanted to talk about some strategies or just some things that I have implemented into my life and feel have really helped me kind of get through this stage of my life, through this complete start over, basically, and just help give me focus, has helped me really discover more about myself, my personal value system, and what's important to me in life, and has helped me really kind of just get back on track. I was thinking the other day that I feel happy about where things have come out for me so far. I still have a long way to go. There's still a lot of this journey left for me to accomplish. But so far, I feel happy about what I have been able to accomplish over the past 2 years. And so I thought, if I can share some of this, and if there's even one person, like just one person that watches this video and walks away saying, hey, you know what, like that would make sense for me too, or maybe I never thought about that, or I never thought about this that way, and it makes a difference in their life, then to me, this video would have been a success. Let's talk about strategies that I've implemented into my life that have helped me through this transition in my 40s, and I'm hoping help you too. So let's talk about it. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of a background, a brief background about just kind of what happened, basically. So I'm 43, and about 2 years ago, I found myself separated from my partner. Then I was 41. At 41, I found myself separated, moving back in with my parents, who are both senior citizens, and living in their home with my 14-year-old daughter because I had no place to go and no home of my own. I also found myself financially screwed, meaning, I basically had no money. I have a great career, which I love, but at that time, I was paycheck to paycheck. So nothing in savings, no investments, and debt. About $10,000 worth of debt. So, that's where I found myself in life at that point in time. And that's not where I was supposed to be. That was not the plan at all. So everything was very unexpected, and because of that, there was no backup plan. I had no safety plan. So it's kind of it's a lot more difficult to talk about than I thought it was going to be, because to be honest, this is the first time I'm actually discussing this with anybody outside of my family. So it's tough. It's tough to know where to begin with it. So for me, finding myself in a situation that was completely out of control and completely out of my control, the first major emotion that I felt was fear. Just complete fear. Just terrified of the unknown. Terrified that things were completely out of control. And that kind of took over. Fear took over for me for a long time. I want to say for at least about a year. And it paralyzed me. it kept me in this place where I wasn't able to move forward, definitely couldn't move backward, but I was just really stuck, not knowing what to do, feeling hopeless, feeling like a victim, and just like angry at myself, angry at the world, angry at the situation. And it was just like a really unhealthy place to be. So I remember feeling extreme fear. I remember also feeling completely overwhelmed with life because I had no idea what to do next. And I couldn't envision a positive future. And I also remember feeling extreme embarrassment. And so like when I say embarrassment, I was so embarrassed. So, it's like a situation where you're out, you're grocery shopping, and then maybe you bump into somebody you haven't seen for a long time. Somebody that's not part of your everyday circle, they're not family. And like, what are the questions? I'm really sorry, by the way, if it's like really bouncy, because I'm in my car having this conversation because my car is one of the only places right now where I have complete privacy to be able to just kind of be open and express myself the way I want to. So I do apologize if it's like shaky a little bit. I did try to put a stabilizer in the video recording. I'm hoping it helps a little bit, but I'm not sure. What was I saying? So what's one of the first questions somebody asks you when they haven't seen you for a long time? So what's new? What's going on in your life now, April? What's up? What's up? And I started to dread that question, dread it, because I felt so embarrassed because I didn't know how to dance around the fact that I was living back home with my parents. I think that's the piece that embarrassed me the most because I was 41 years old and I was in a situation where I have moved back in with my parents into my childhood home, into my childhood bedroom when I was a teenager. Society tells you that when you're in your 40s, you should have it together. Like you should have your shit together in your 40s, okay? You should have your own house. You should have a great career, which I do. I feel blessed about that for sure. But you should like have this parenting thing on lock. And you should be in a great relationship. Everything is just supposed to be stable. Right? You're supposed to have a stable life in your 40s. And so here I was at 41 with the exact opposite. Things couldn't be any more unstable. Okay? So I personally found it so embarrassing to have conversations about where I was in life. So what's the one way or the best way to avoid having conversations is to just like isolate yourself, right? You just don't go anywhere because then you won't bump into anybody and then you'll never have to answer the question. So that's what I did. I isolated myself for about a whole year. And I just stopped really doing anything. I stopped doing extracurricular activities. I drowned myself in video games. I stopped really kind of participating in any work-related social events. And that's not the norm for me because I am naturally an extroverted person. So I knew something was definitely wrong when I realized that that's how I was starting to behave. When I realized that I was making the choice to isolate myself from the world is when I decided, okay, it's time for change. Because I can either change for the better or I'm going to continue to get worse and spiral downwards. And I knew that that wasn't an option for me because I needed to be the best me I could be for my daughter. and I wanted to be the best me I could be for my daughter. So what are some of the strategies that I put in place for myself that actually helped me? And, we're all different. We all go through our journey in different ways. And so these may not all work for you, but my hope is that there's at least one that does. At least one that you decide to implement and try out in your own life. And hopefully, maybe it makes a difference. I'm going to park actually just for a few minutes. There's a nice little park here, parking lot. Let me park. So maybe we can get some of the shaking under control for a little while. Okay. So the first piece of advice I want to share is to allow yourself to feel what it is you got to feel. Okay? Like that is honestly, for me, that was step one. Allowing myself to feel, because my first instinct was to go into like a state of denial almost, or not denial, but not deal with it. So I basically drowned myself in work. So I did everything I could to just keep myself busy. The busier I was, the better. Like I would work until like 7 or 8 p.m. Anything, I would just do anything that didn't have to involve being social, right? with people, just to keep myself busy, to keep my mind occupied so that I didn't have to think about what was actually happening in my life, and therefore not have to deal with what was actually happening in my life. So I was not allowing myself to feel. I was not allowing myself to process my own thoughts or emotions on the situation or on life. And so that is the first thing I would advise you allow yourself to do. If you are finding yourself in a situation like me, where you haven't yet experienced true emotion over whatever transition you're going through right now in life, that is honestly the first step, because through emotion comes reflection. That is one of the most important things I ended up realizing through this journey of my own. Through my emotion came my reflection. And through reflection is where I was able to start to implement change. So allowing yourself to go through it, and I mean like go through it, however you have to go through it. You're crying at night. If you're angry, go through it. If you're sad, go through it. If you're confused, a little bit of depression in there for sure. You have to go through it. You have to allow yourself to be true about where you're actually at and how you're actually feeling in order to move past it, in order to work through it. Because if you can't first acknowledge where you are, you can't work through anything, right? And so once I started to allow myself to cry, which is a big thing, I don't cry very easily. I definitely don't show or cry in front of others very easily. So once I allowed myself to cry at night, to be angry at myself, at others, at whoever, to admit that I had no idea what to do next, to admit that I was out of control and that I didn't know how to regain control. Once I basically submitted to where I was at that time in my life, then I was able to start to reflect. Once I submitted to where I was, then the answers started coming. And when I say answers, it wasn't like oh my God, I know exactly what I need to do next in life. No, it wasn't answers like that. It was like little things. It was like, well, this is a great place to go into my second piece of what I would advise. Things like, hey, April, why don't you get your shit in order? So that would be my advice number 2. Get your shit in order. So one thing I was able to do successfully, I feel, was identify where my fear was coming from. Like, what was at the root of all this fear that I was feeling at that time? And it was really, really rooted in a sense of feeling out of control and not having control over really important aspects of my life. And once I realized that, once I connected my fear to exactly what was causing the fear, then I was able to start identifying ways to regain control and to eliminate the fear that I was feeling. So for me personally, areas of fear were financial. My financial situation was a complete wreck at the time, right? So 41 and I have no savings, I have no investments, and I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And that is a scary, like, devastating place to be. As a parent, like, it's so scary, right? And so now it's all on you. Like, you need to figure it out, girl. You need to figure it out, because no one's going to do it for you. And you have this beautiful daughter that you have to take care of and provide for and be a mentor to. And so I had to figure out the root of my fear. And so financial was one. The other huge fear for me was not knowing myself, not knowing what I personally wanted out of life. Because I went from a situation of being a team of two everyday life, a team of two, making decisions together, making decisions in terms of what's best for this team of two, to now being a team of one in a certain sense. And so, like, what do I want? Right? Like, what does life look like for me? What's important to me? What are my values? What's my value system? I didn't know the answer to any of those questions. So that was terrifying. So get your shit in order, right? And I know, like, you probably already know what are some of these things that you've had in the back of your mind that you've been saying to yourself, oh my gosh, I really need to get this in order. Like, I really need to get this under control. It could be little things like bills. And I don't mean paying bills. I mean, how are you organizing and filing your bills? When you need a bill, can you find it? When you need, to look at last year's tax return, do you know where it is? Because I didn't. I couldn't find anything. You know how my bills were organized? They were all thrown into a huge Tupperware bin, and just like, the past 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of bills just thrown in there with whatever else I threw in there, right? Out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to deal with it. In you go. So that, and that's how I basically organized all my paperwork and stuff. And, so that was part of it. That was part of it. Organizing your life. Organize your life so that your mind is organized. Once you're organized externally, I can't explain why this is, but it honestly creates this sense of peace of mind, like a serenity internally. And I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend it enough to start with organizing your life externally. Really. And it doesn't have to be financial. Maybe your financial situation is in tip-top shape. Like, if it is, congratulations. That's amazing, number one. But maybe your bedroom is a bit messy, right? Maybe your living space could use a little organization. Find little projects, right? Little things that you have been pushing to the side and ignoring for the last couple of years. Do that. So get your shit in order. And I'll be honest, like, I didn't know where to start with that, because it just completely overwhelmed me when I even started to think of the idea of organizing my life. Didn't know where to start, because everything was so crazy. So I actually would highly recommend this book here. So this book is called Smart Women Finish Rich by David Bosch. And I don't have any kind of affiliation whatsoever with this book. Like, I'm not sponsored, I'm not affiliated, I'm not making money off of recommending this book at all. This author is just so amazing that I just want to recommend him to everyone, honestly. I've read 2 of his books now. This is the one that I'm currently working through, and this is the one that has helped me get my shit in order, friends. So if you are in a similar situation where you feel like that's what you need to do, you need to start getting some shit in order, I would highly recommend starting reading this, because it really is a step-by-step kind of work through guide that will take you from A to B. And the second piece of getting your shit in order for me was figuring out my personal value system. My value system. What is important in life to me? Because, like, time is precious, okay? I don't know, maybe you have a lot of spare time in your life. I do not. So where I choose to focus my time and energy is extremely important to me because it's limited. And so when I do focus my time and energy on something, I want to make sure that it's going to have a direct impact on my personal value system, that it's going to be moving me forward in accomplishing my personal goals in life, right? The type of bringing me forward to living my ideal life, the type of life I want to live. And so that's another thing that book helps you understand and really get down to the core of, first of all, what is actually a value? And what does it mean to have a value system? And how do you figure out what your values are? And then once you've figured out what your values are, how do you focus your behavior in life so that it complements and is working in direct harmony with your personal value system? Because it makes no sense if your behavior is contradicting your values. If that is kind of like a little confusing for you, congratulations. It was very confusing for me as well in the beginning. I didn't know what this man was talking about, but I promise you, if you just take the time and go through the book, go through the steps, you will get it. You will get it. And I promise you, once you have figured out your values, and once you have decided on the behaviors that are going to directly complement your personal value system, it's a game changer. It's a game changer because it gives you focus. So much focus. What you do makes sense. And you're happy to do certain things now. You're happy to get your financial world in order because you know it's having a direct impact on your values and creating the life for yourself that you want to create. It changes your mindset on so many things. That is what it did for me. And that was huge, huge. Understanding my values completely changed my relationship with money and turned it around so that I no longer feel out of control. Get your shit in order. All right, we're back on the road. Back on the road. Advice number 3. Use where you are in life right now for an opportunity for growth and change. That's my advice number 3. Use it for personal development. And you can do that in so many ways. So many ways. But I'll tell you a few ways that I did that for myself. I got back into reading. That was number 1. I picked up a book for the first time and I can't even tell you how many years. And I know that's kind of sad. But like, it's not where I was choosing to invest my time before. But I started reading again. And I'm so thankful I did, because reading really opens up your mind. Reading helps you ask some hard questions that you should have been asking yourself this whole time. So I started reading again. I also created myself a bucket list of things that I've been wanting to do for years. And these are small to large things. From axe throwing. I have always wanted to try axe throwing, and I did it. And it was amazing. And I will put in a little clip of my axe throwing adventure right now, because I was good. Whoa! I was so good, and it was so fun. Create yourself a bucket list, because then it gives you something to look forward to. With everything going on in your life right now that feels like it's a disappointment, you need to provide yourself little things to look forward to in life. So, create yourself a bucket list and start knocking off that list. So just start doing some of the activities on that list, whatever they are. If you can't financially afford to do anything big, do some of the smaller things that you have on that bucket list. Something you've always wanted to try. Just start doing that. And another benefit to that is it helps to kind of get you out. It helps to get you moving, which is healthy for your body. It helps prevent you from isolating yourself, right? And if reading, for example, is one of those things on your list, that's fantastic. Take that book and go read in a park. Go outdoors. Take that book, go read in a library. Just change your environment. The little act of changing your environment can do wonders for your mind. A third thing that I did for myself is I created myself a vision board, a 5-year vision board. And that was really fun. And that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, actually, because in order to create yourself a vision board, you have to, again, reflect. You have to start thinking about what your goals are, what your values are. You have to start thinking about what you'd like to accomplish in life over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And so the first step of creating that vision board was really for me to do a deep dive, an internal deep dive. And so that whole process for me was invaluable. And now I have this amazing vision board. I love my vision board. I put it in a frame. I have it on the wall. And I wrote myself a letter that I'm supposed to open in 2028, I believe, with all the hopes and dreams that I've hoped to have accomplished by that time. And so far, I'm on the way. So you can do that too, right? And again, it's so motivating. And I put it in a place where as soon as I wake up in the morning, it's the first thing I see. So when I wake up in the morning, my vision board is staring me in the face, and it helps set my mind right immediately. So create yourself that vision board. I think at the end of the day, what I really want to say is remember to be kind to yourself. Okay? You're going through a lot right now. This is your life, and you can't let anybody tell you where you're supposed to be right now. Don't let anybody tell you how you're supposed to be feeling right now. Don't let anybody tell you how long you're supposed to be feeling that way or it's time. You are going to figure out what process is right for you and how much time you need to move through whatever it is you're going through. And whatever decisions you make for yourself are the right ones. Because you know yourself. You know yourself better than anybody else. And hopefully if you actively take the steps to go through a journey of self-discovery, you're going to come out of there knowing yourself so damn good that nobody's going to be able to tell you anything. Right? You're going to feel so confident in yourself in your abilities. Nobody can decide what's the right path for you. Only you can do that for you. I don't know. I hope that this has helped in some way, shape, or form. It's not easy. It's a journey. It's going to take you some time, and it's okay to be wherever you are today. But I promise you that you won't be there forever. If you decide to actively work through whatever it is you're going through, you will get there. You will get there. I promise you that. And speaking of getting there, I've gotten there. I've gotten to where I need to get my dinner because I am starving and I haven't had anything to eat yet. So thank you for spending this time with me. I do hope it was helpful. If you did enjoy this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And maybe if you also want to consider subscribing, because I have a lot that I want to talk about. And I have a lot more that I think I can share. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and I will see you in the next video.